it's Lynda Cromar coming to you from Colorado. Wanted to welcome all of you in. Thanks a lot for coming. I appreciate all of you that are being fans and really enjoying my content. And as you can see by the title, we're going to talk about, are you really open for business? And I've got a lot of good things to share with you that'll really help you with that. And do go ahead and share this with all of your followers, because I promise you it's going to be good content. Are you? How are you doing on this beautiful fall day on Tuesday? Like I said, are you open for business? Now, a lot of people think they are, but I can tell you that there are a lot of things people do that makes it appear that they truly are not, actually. Hello, Jessica, and thanks for the beautiful purple hearts. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the shares already. And I wanted to really jump right into this for all of you that came right away to make sure that you truly do get the full value. I'm just moving myself over to my Facebook so that I can give you some ideas that will help you regardless of what business you're in. It doesn't matter. This always applies because I try to teach things you can apply regardless of what business you're in. So I just wanted to talk about, people always ask to be part of your friendship. You get asked on Periscope, you get asked on Twitter, and you get asked on your own, wherever else you might be. So let's go and take a peek just for the fun of it to see who these people are, and are they truly open for business. Now, what I mean by that is when you go to any one of their profiles, and Facebook makes it the easiest to figure it out. But here's the first clue. Is this person showing any information about herself right here? Here's the second clue. Is she posting things other than just immediately about her business constantly? Is she putting out value? And is she starting to get a little bit, at least, of some kind of reaction to what she posts? Which will mean that if she does get reaction, which this lady does, her name is Sherry, then that means that she is learning how to get engagement, which is really, really important. But here's the kicker. What about the about me? In other words, what's really on the profile and what information is she sharing? Now, this is the overview page that comes up, and notice all the no's. That's not good, because if you're not open in all of these places, you don't have to worry about a school, but I'll tell you, it's important to do something here. It could be your fan page, though. It doesn't have to be if you have a job and you're working in a business. It doesn't have to be your job, and that's what a lot of people think that means. So, for instance, the next place you go here, okay, we've got some information here. If you start seeing people say, ask, especially Facebook does this, if they keep this information private, it says ask instead of allowing you. Now, no contact info. Not a good idea. You know why? Because if you were in a store, for instance, think about this. If you were in a store, would they lock the door and make you go around to the back? Would they make you rummage into the trash can to find out what you were about? No, it would be totally obvious. The front door would be open, and the store windows would be decorated, and everything would be everything would be there to let people know who you are and how they can get in touch with you and how they can connect with you. And here is a real big missed opportunity right here, because there is no info here. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to give absolutely all of your contact information, but you know what? In this day and age, you do have to do something. If you want to give them a Google phone number, that's okay. But you need to give them a phone number. It doesn't have to be your personal home phone number if you don't feel comfortable with that. But it could be your cell phone, which I have my cell phone on my profile. Let's go over to mine just so I can give you a comparison. If you go into my About Me, you will see that every single one of these tabs has information on it. And if you go over to this side where I was showing you before, you'll see that there's a lot of information there. It's not just about making sure there's a web page, which of course there should be, but you don't want, I have seen people where they fill this up with web pages, and that's not a good plan either. But there should be an email they can contact you with, and there should be a phone number that they can contact you with. Isn't that the way a business works? A business has a phone number you can call, and they have an email. These days, all businesses have an email, and all businesses have a website. And all businesses have a phone number. So you don't want to miss the opportunity by not having enough information here. And you do want to know, the only information you have to do as far as your personal information of where you live is your city. Don't tell them your address. That's getting into a situation where you could be compromised because of crazies. So I don't tell people my physical address. That's not something I have posted anywhere on the internet. But you do want to let them know about where you live in the, region of where you live. And that's okay. Because they're not going to come to my house, right? But they do need to know kind of where I am. For instance, if you've got somebody that lives in another country, it's a good idea for them to have a good idea where you are. And then here is where you can really put in the information. And like I said, that's my real cell phone. Yeah, that's my real cell phone. And a city and state is okay because it would be pretty hard for them to find you. If they happen to, you of course could deal with that. But here's another place where people miss out on an opportunity. This is where I give them some details on how they can start to work with me. I do tell them a little bit about me, but this doesn't have to be a great big long story about your personal experience. You do that on your timeline because that's what I do with it. I use my timeline to tell lots and lots of stories. I share content and I interact with people. And of course, I haven't been as good about it today because I've been busy with 2 or 3 periscopes, and so I haven't been on Facebook as much as I usually am. But in more cases than not, there's usually a conversation going on my profile. And it did, like I said, it didn't happen today because I've been on Periscope more than I've been on Facebook. But you want to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to make your doors open to anybody that might go peeking, because I promise you that when actually wants to know more about you, they're going to look at your profile. Now, if you go and tap over, I think you slide up and slide over for iPhone, and you slide up for Android. If you go just tap on my profile right here in Periscope, and it won't take you out of this. But if you actually looked at that, you would see that I have filled up every bit of space that Periscope allows, as far as making sure they know who I am and making sure they had a way to connect with me. Now, yes, it's okay to have a capture page. I don't try to sell them on my first experience with them because they're not ready to buy. They want to find out who you are first. And so you want to be an open door. In the case of a real store, a physical store that you walk in, if you've never been in that store before and it's something unusual that they sell, wouldn't it be normal for you probably to spend some time looking around before you made a decision to buy? Unless you've already researched to the point where you absolutely do know what you want and from whom. So no matter what you're involved with, that's the advice of the day. Whatever profile that you are in, and especially Facebook, but Twitter is the case often as well. And I'll tell you one thing, when people actually connect with me on Periscope and they haven't filled out their user information, well then how do you make a decision to go ahead and follow them when they haven't taken the time to tell you who they are? So it's very, very important that you do that. And this is your business. So I don't mean that you do a whole bunch of pitching. It's more about finding out whether we're a good match or not, and whether I can help you. So you know your market well enough that the people that come to you are already looking for what you have. So that, I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you've got something from this. And I will be sharing more on this because I really think it's an issue that people do need to understand. And do go ahead and come back. I will be broadcasting all week at the same time. It's usually at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope you have an awesome Tuesday for the rest of your evening or whatever time it is. And also thank you and welcome to all that visited today, as well as all of my replay people, because I always get a huge amount of replay visitors, and I appreciate you coming as well. And you guys have an awesome day, and we'll be talking soon.